Week 3 reactions are here. We've got the squad together because, we've got to argue about a lot of things. Fun stuff in the SEC. Let's get it going.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
Yes, it's the SEC squad. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Create an account and use our code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. They sponsor all of our squad shows. We've got Brandon Olson from Locked On Gators, Chris Marler from Locked On Gamecocks, Clint Locked On Bulldogs, Steven from over there on Locked On Ole Miss, the Loomers, love that, as well as Matt from Locked On Aggies. Hey, we had a great weekend of college football. Saturday was fantastic. We're going to break down all of the SEC games. We're going to dive into, of course, some of the bigger matchups, as well as the teams that handle business the way they were supposed to. I think it's fair to start here based upon the people in attendance. We'll go around in this circle first. Brandon, let's talk about your Gators, man. How you feeling about it, man?
I hate my life. How are you feeling about it?
I'm so sorry. Lagway, 5 interceptions in a loss to LSU 20-10. We're gonna let everybody talk. Let's give me your feelings on it, Brandon. What we thinking?
I will say that obviously I misjudged how this team would go. I think that a lot of it was also I will say this: the defense balling out, 2 touchdowns allowed so far, and 2 losses to go with it. The fact that you could have a quarterback throw 5 picks, we'll say 4 since one of them was a pick 6, so it doesn't matter with the defense at all. But the fact that you could have a quarterback throw 4 picks and still only give up 13 points is hell of a defensive effort there. Forced 5 3-and-outs against LSU. We're giving Garrett Nussmeier some hell at certain points. Offense, a lot of it stems from 2 people. A lot of it stems from Billy Napier and DJ Lagway. Whether that's, play calling in the moments or DJ Lagway being an inexperienced quarterback. It's tough. It's tough. It's brutal watching all of the things happening, like offensive line breakdowns, a lot of them. Because here's the thing. I can't think of a single time really where there was a sack by LSU that I look at the offensive line and I say, oh, they just got beat blocking. Every one of them I look at and I go, oh, they're just unblocked. Like there's something going on there communication wise. That's not just being out talented. That's being outsmarted. And yeah, I think that, it just sucks. It's just a brutal time there. Just a brutal game. But also, by the way, at least I know, I'm 29 years old. I'll never see a worse quarterback performance probably by a Florida Gators quarterback. So at least I got that to look forward to for the next, I just being a Florida Gators fan and New York Giants fan for the next 12 years before I die. But at least we got that.
I'm sorry about that. Chris, I know you've got a lot to say. You had a nice little article talking about this quarterback that you got a lot of backlash on. Go ahead. Let it all out.
First off, no one tell me what happens in the Carolina game. I have it on the DVR and it's paused at 7-7. So no one say anything.
Okay.
Listen, the thing I think Lagway is going to be fine at some point, but I think that the idea that he was going to come in and be Superman and a top 5 player in the country with what was around him, and it wasn't even just what was around him. It's also the schedule. It's everyone that came up this week was like, oh my God, they lost to South Florida. And then the national media was like, did you guys see Florida's schedule? Yeah, I saw it in July. Like we all did. Why are we just now talking about this? So I think there's a lot of stuff that I think is on Lagway, obviously. But Brandon, as much crap as we give you, dude, 5 interceptions and losing by 10 points on the road at night in Death Valley. I was there in the press box, sick brag. It was awesome. It was an awesome environment. To only lose by 10 with 5 interceptions, not bad. It's not good. So, but 5 interceptions, 3 is too many. And then he had 4. And I was like, that's also too many. And he's like, watch this, Chris. I was like, DJ, don't talk to me. Read a defense. And then he threw his fit.
But I wanted to know about South Carolina, Marla. We already talked about Florida.
We'll come back. We're going to come back to the South Carolina game. I love you, Clint, for that. But no, that is a testament to Florida's defense. The fact that they only gave up 1 offensive touchdown in the entire game. Like 1. They really won. And then 2 field goals. They forced 7 punts. And then the pick 6 is really what kind of put the nail in the coffin there. But you kind of got to give Florida's defense props. It's just their quarterback didn't help them like they were supposed to. Matt, what you think? I know you got a chance to take a gander at this game.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same with Chris. This defense is just playing in an elite level right now, and it's going to keep them in every single game that they play, regardless of how Lagway shows up in these football games. And I feel like Lagway is going to be fine too. He's a young quarterback. I know that people are going to talk a lot about Arch Manning's struggles and how he's going to suck forever, but like Lagway is just as young. He might not be as hyped. Both of those guys, in my opinion, are going to be fine. It's just they need to take the steps to becoming a complete quarterback, and their coaches need to help them get to those spots as well. I mean, Billy Napier is not really doing DJ Lagway any favors, and I feel like this Florida team has some, they have some goodness in them. There's a lot of good players. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of athletes, and they just need to put the things together, and the defense is going to keep them in every single game that they play. So if they can just get the offense to even an average level at this point, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with at a certain point.
I felt like I was watching a match champ team.
There's a lot of good in them, not morally or emotionally, because that team started like 8 fights last night before the game and then during the game. It was wild. It was wild. I also think, listen, we have stuff that we have to write about in the offseason. So it's like, I get that the hype happened, but maybe not as much. I was going to ask this, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but do y'all think that he probably should have benched him, or do you think that optically looks way worse if he does that?
I think you have a quarterback that is only going to get better with reps. And I think you have a quarterback that clearly towards the end of that game, he was clearly very shaken confidence wise. He was shook completely. And I think that benching him doesn't make it better. I don't think you weren't going to get good quarterback play from anybody.
Well, that can't be the case. We've seen enough out of DJ Lagway. We have Arch Manning. I'm actually gonna for the first time ever kind of give a little bit of pass. He's literally 3 games into full-time starter. DJ Lagway has had that the whole entire year, and it's ridiculous to me that we've seen this play out. We've seen Anthony Richardson, we've seen Russell, we've seen guys that have all the talent in the world and need reps. And at a certain point, you got to say, reps ain't going to do it. What is he doing all week at practice? He's not being developed. He's not being brought about. He's getting all the reps in practice. He's getting all the reps in the games. We've seen it for a year. If he's not the guy, Florida doesn't have Billy Napier does not have an opportunity to say, well, let's get more reps. He is 2 games away from being fired on the tarmac at Florida. He doesn't have time to bring this young kid along. If he's not it, he's got to make a change. And if he's saying, no, for Lagway's sake, I'm going to give him reps, then he hates his own job and he hates money because he's going to get fired and then have to go somewhere else. He's in a lose-lose situation. He can't keep giving Lagway the reps. He's got to move on to a competent winning. You just said, if this offense gets competent average, they're a dangerous team. I agree. But if that's the case, Lagway's not your guy. You have to bench him, especially after that. You have to move on to something more competent and somebody that's not going to give the ball over.
I think we can all agree, though, the same way we talked about, Lagway needing, he didn't get those reps this entire year. He's been the starter, but he didn't get those reps. I mean, Billy said it. This was his 4th week of practice this year. He didn't get the reps. No. Also, Martha, my big issue with your article is that Arch Manning exists.
That is also fair. Wow. That is also fair. I mean,
Steven, what you have there? And we also got Jimmy Stein from Locked On Bama in here. But Steven, I know you was about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically all during the offseason, they were talking about injured, not injured, all that with DJ Lagway. And in camp, they missed some time and missed those reps, those very important reps. And Brandon mentioned that perhaps some protection alignments or some calls, some stuff that reps would have solved was being missed. I don't know if this is a talent issue with DJ Lagway. I think this is just the fact that he hasn't played much football this year. And he's going to get better as it goes, but it may be too little too late because, as Clint said, he's 2 games away from being shown the door, and the next game's in Coral Gables.
Yeah, and you got you even the funny thing to add to that is that real quick, Matt, I'll let you go, and then Jimmy, you can wrap us up. Is that we got Texas versus Florida in about 3 weeks. That is going to be a very interesting because both appear to have really good defenses, but a lot of questions at quarterback. Matt, go ahead.
Awesome.
Well, my only thing about benching Lagway is who are you replacing him with? Like, is this offense going to get markedly better or more efficient or more explosive with a different quarterback?
With another
I don't
true
think
freshman,
that's
by the way.
Yes, if you don't throw 5 interceptions, you win the game.
Yes, I understand.
It will get
I
better
understand.
markedly. You win the game with not 5 interceptions. Yes.
I understand that, Clint. But what I'm saying is somebody else going to come in and start throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns? And
they don't need to.
I understand the 5 interceptions. I don't think that's going to happen again either. I just think that like DJ Lagway still gives you your best chance to win football games if you're.
But
Billy
he doesn't.
Napier.
He's not winning games. Period. You can't say that. And if he doesn't throw the interception, they win the game against LSU in a great matchup. And all of a sudden, we're talking about Florida in a wholly different way. We just got done talking about the defense keeping them every game. Average offense wins you that game. DJ Lagway's not average. He is a roller coaster that makes it liable. Billy Napier, if that's the case, if it's practice, if it's reps, if it's injured, then Billy Napier is an awful coach for not putting his team in a position to win. He needs fired today. Give it to the guy who has better reps. Give it to a guy who is practicing and not turning the ball over, and you win the game.
Yeah, honestly, Florida just needs to find their Greg McElroy. They just need a game manager. Their defense is very good. They just need somebody who won't lose the game.
Correct.
And this Florida team will be better.
Jimmy, wrap us up on this topic with Florida. You got anything to add to it, or?
I would just say that with their schedule, I'm not sure things are going to get any easier for Billy. That schedule, which was just looming over them this entire season. I think now that we're seeing the schedule in action and how it can affect things and snowball. I mean, Florida's got to bounce back from the 5 interception game at Coral Gables, and with all the SEC games to go after that. It's just really a taller hill than most. But I do appreciate how Florida bounced back after South Florida. For the most part, most of the team played really well. You're just not going to overcome 5 interceptions and beat anybody. I thought LSU, they were handed a blowout win and didn't take it. I think there's some legitimate questions about LSU's offense. They'll give credit to Florida's defense. Obviously a good team, but that schedule was going to get Florida the whole time.
Makes sense. No, good stuff. All right, let's go into this next big game that I feel like definitely deserves attention because there was a lot of really big SEC games this past weekend. So it's really hard to pick and choose. I think the Florida one was a good start off because Brandon is here and, kind of just the whole circumstances around it. We've all talked about Lagway, so I think it makes sense to start there. But I want to get into this Georgia-Tennessee game. Number 6, Georgia, number 15, Tennessee. Goes down to the wire, ends up in overtime. College kickers always reign supreme because they get that last opportunity, and it does not work out. I'm going to be honest. I was very disappointed that Tennessee actually played for that field goal like that. They probably should have pushed the ball a bit more. They were doing it. They looked like they knew what they were pushing it, and they decided to just wait for a college kicker to do it, and then the college kicker had to do it 2 times in a row. Of course, he got the first one in overtime, and that's actually where it was detrimental. Clint, we'll start with you. Talk to me about your Bulldogs, man. How you feeling about that victory?
It feels fantastic. And here's why it feels fantastic. Let me talk about quarterback play really quick. I'm going to give you the top SEC quarterbacks to begin the year. Nussmeier, 15 of 27, 220, a ton, and an interception. He was called the most talented quarterback in the SEC. Again, I just got done. Florida's got a great defense. I've never said anything different. Arch Manning, 44% completion, 4.6 average pass yards, 1 tud, 1 interception. What's that?
Is this just yesterday?
Just yesterday. Gunnar Stockton, 74% on 31 attempts, 304 yards, 9.8 yards averaging, 2 tuds and no interception, and the most beautifully thrown ball to London Humphreys on the back corner of the end zone that I've seen all year. Gunnar Stockton, if everybody was talking about Joey Aguilar being in the Heisman conversation, Gunnar Stockton should be above him. That was a performance in Neyland that he absolutely lasered balls, he layered balls. It was incredible. I think there needs to be a whole apology music soundtrack to Gunnar Stockton hate that's not out there. He showed out that he's one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC right now. You don't go into Neyland and do that with an offensive line, by the way, you want to talk about Georgia's biggest deficiency. Offensive line is horrid right now. It is Swiss cheese, especially at right tackle. It's a big problem. If you got a left end who gets up and gets around the corner, Georgia's going to have problems against your defense because it is atrocious. Gunner was getting hit all game long, stood in the pocket, delivered lasers and layered. It was incredible. A huge win all the way through. I did not see that final score coming. I thought it was going to be 21-17 rock fight, and it was a shootout, which was kind of fun to see in a lot of regards because Georgia can go ahead and win those games now. It was fun to watch all the way through. But Gunner Stockton and Mike Bobo deserve all the credit in the world.
It's also 6 that against that defense that had their 2 starting cornerbacks out, including maybe the best defensive back in the country, 2 defensive linemen out. But again, it's awesome that they were able to give up 41 points and win. It's a tremendous job by.
You mean the right guard and the right tackle is out for Georgia as well? We can do this all game long, Marler. We can do the blame game all day long instead of just winning games. How about you just do that, Marler? You just win the games.
He's my Heisman leader, dude. Listen, everyone owes him an apology. He went into Neyland. He beat a team they beat 8 years in a row prior to this, and they had 4 starters out. They are Gunner Stockton in New York right now.
You're compromised. You're emotionally compromised, and it's showing.
What am I not? That's my whole thing. That's my whole career.
That's a good point. I'll open it up. Who else wants something on this?
I'm a big fan of the 4th and 6 shot play. I love it. I love just having the audacity to do it like that. I'm a big fan of just 4th down shot plays in general because defense, of course, playing the sticks always. But 4th and 6, hell of a call, hell of a ball.
It really was. It was beautiful. Just wow.
Such a great game too, by the way.
Yeah,
I got to give Tennessee credit. They played well. They did.
Yes.
They showed up to that game. That wasn't a typical Tennessee Georgia game. They came for blood in that game, and they just lost a football game. They didn't lose to a logo. Yeah. They just lost a football game, and there's nothing to be ashamed of about that.
They might have lost to a logo. I mean that was a new way to lose. And I hate that for Tennessee. Kind of. I don't really mean that. If we're being honest, but I mean, it followed a script. It followed a script that has happened over and over again. And Clint, you and I've talked about this 1,000 times. I'm just being honest. They scored first, like they've done for 6 years in a row now against Georgia. And then what usually happens after that is Kirby makes adjustments. They shut them down. But the 21 points in the first quarter was insane because they've only scored 17 at most against Kirby's defense in the last how many years Heupel's been there. It was a great game back and forth. I do, as much crap as I'm giving you, Clint, I do think that Gunner Stockton deserves a lot of credit with how he played. And then also, Mike Bobo. The play calling was fantastic. I thought the play calling was fantastic until the very end. I don't know why Tennessee got so what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not good with words. You guys know this. Conservative?
Scared?
Right?
Yeah.
Scared is a better way to put it. Yeah.
It's like they were playing to not lose instead of playing to win. But I think someone can give you guys a pretty good recap on that. Eric Kane over there at Locked on Vols real quick.
Crazy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Eric Kane, host of Locked on Vols. Tough one yesterday. Tennessee falls in overtime 44-41 to the Georgia Bulldogs. That losing streak for Tennessee in this series has reached 9 games. My biggest takeaway leaving the stadium yesterday was simply... And I'll start with giving Georgia credit. Obviously, Georgia made more plays in the end. Georgia won this game, right? But also, Tennessee won this game 3 or 4 different times and gave it away. And that's the most frustrating part if you're a Tennessee fan, right? 4th and 6, make a stop. 2-point conversion, make a stop. End of regulation, make the field goal. And I know that's easier said than done. After a big turnover there on the plus side of the field from Joshua Josephs getting a strip sack fumble, Tennessee runs it 3 different times and settles for a field goal to make it 38-30. Points were most important, but Joey Aguilar was hot. Go down the field, score, and that's a 2-score game at that point in time. It's unfortunate. Again, Georgia made plays. Georgia came in and made more when it mattered. But, man, Tennessee had this game won 3 to 4 different times. And that's the frustrating part, right? National perspective is, oh, man, instant classic. Both these teams in the college football playoff. This was so great. Yeah, that's great. But it's heartbreak for Tennessee because Tennessee feels like it had this game won 2 to 3 different times, but didn't get to the finish line. We'll continue to react to it on Monday's Locked on Vols, but right now it's a tough scene. Tough scene as Tennessee loses to Georgia 44-41 in overtime.
All right. Thoughts?
One thing that sticks out to me about, we're just talking about LSU, Florida, and this is, Clint sort of made this point earlier. In the preseason, Nussmeier and Lagway were at the top of the discussion board, best quarterbacks in the SEC. Not many had Gunner Stockton and Joey Aguilar, but the Georgia-Tennessee game featured much better quarterback play yesterday than the LSU Florida game did. Both Aguilar and Gunnar Stockton were really good. And the final score is pretty shocking, 44-41. I thought that game would be in the 20s. I thought both defenses would show out a little better, but Gunnar Stockton and Joey Aguilar both with big days and proving to be two of the better quarterbacks in the league.
That's exactly right. I mean, Eric Kane said, and by the way, love Eric to death. We'll never say anything against him. When it says Tennessee had that game won 3 or 4 times, the same can be said of Georgia when it was ahead and there was back and forth. What I want to say is I feel for Tennessee. I really do, because it felt much like what Georgia had to endure against a couple of teams until you finally beat them, right? We could talk about Simmons. Marla, I'm sorry, you cover South Carolina, correct? I'm just making sure I know the team that you – okay, good. When Simmons was on sides and not off sides, we had that whole thing for a while that we had to say, hey, guess what? We can't beat them until you beat them in the national championship game. That's the problem with it. And so, yeah, Tennessee, you're correct. Until you get the monkey off your back, it's going to feel this way until you take one from Georgia. And that's just college football, and it is a mind game. Kirby Smart does have Josh Heupel. You saw it on his face. Josh got very conservative, was playing for the field goal. Steve, I said this last year. Again, the biggest thing I saw from Lane Kiffin was that he changed. He learned. He did things different. Heupel hasn't yet. And trying to get for that field goal, no. He should have kept the gas on the entire time and gotten to the 25, 20, 15, but he didn't. That was a huge problem.
Hey, real quick, hats off to Tennessee fans too, because I know it's a tough loss. But one thing I was really impressed with is didn't see anything after the game where they were blaming the refs or taking pictures of screenshots of holding calls or anything like that. That is reserved for a different fan base from the guy that just spoke. But I do think that was really impressive from Tennessee fans. Love you, Clint. Bye.
All right, Matt, you wrap us up.
Well, I mean, this game was going on during the Texas game, and I was at the Texas game, so I didn't get to see all of it. But Gunnar Stockton is just a dude, man. he always comes in and in the right moments makes big impact plays. He did it against Texas last year in the SEC championship, and today or yesterday, sorry, he was just an absolute gamer. He's making all the throws. Nobody was talking about him before the season started. I've just been super impressed with him, and Joey Aguilar, to his credit as well, just absolutely shattering the expectations for him as well. So just. Yes. Really awesome quarterback play, which is my favorite thing about football is quarterback play and quarterback battles. So that was my favorite game to watch all day yesterday.
Which also I feel like Joey Aguilar's performance is like such an indictment of what Nico Yamalava did for a while of just stepping in. And like so many people went, oh yeah, and myself included, went, yeah, I think year 2 starting in that offense is when you take the next step, when you're more comfortable and you're capable of working on everything. And Joey Aguilar's just like, I'm actually just going to walk in and just be better than Nico was immediately. Yeah, that's such a big testament for when he came in to pick up the offense that is.
Yeah, this summer.
It's like that's incredible.
That was the thing I said coming into this is I thought Joey would come in a little bit better. Reminds me kind of the Hendon Hooker situation they had, even though Hendon actually had 2 years in there. Felt like Joey's a little bit more mature going in. Well, we've got some big games to continue with. We got to talk Aggies. We also got to talk Vanderbilt. Let's talk about that next here on our live reaction show with the SEC squad. Before we do that, we need to talk about the game cap. For me, it would be the game. There are so many great hats out there that I know a lot of you fans probably partake in, but I got a quick question for all you fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit through front row at your favorite school's rival game, I mean, we saw some kind of a pseudo rivalries this past week. What hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. As you can see, some of our locked on hosts on here are rocking them. These aren't just hats. They are the same vintage styles fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then. When you use our code locked on, you'll get you a vintage hat for $16.99. Head to thegamecap.com, grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code locked on for an exclusive discount because legends wear the game. Also, getting caffeinated is always an important thing for your boy. It's the only way I stay awake because I'm so busy. But caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shot delivers tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot pack, the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of joe. Plus, B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. My favorite thing is I can grab one while I'm sitting here doing this hosting, as I am terrible at it compared to our guy Gordy, and still feel like I'm energized. Still feel like I'm bringing you something. So enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade. With 5 Hour Energy shots, get the flavors you love. Or be bold and try something new in-store or online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Thanks again for joining us here for the live reaction show on the SEC Squad. Please hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification for all of our hosts. Looks like Brandon had bounced out, and that's okay. Check him out over on Locked On Gators. But we got to talk about a couple of other big ones. Non-con. Texas A&M takes down Notre Dame at the end of the game. Oh, my goodness. Matt, I'm going to let you lead the way, man. How does it feel to pull this one out 41-40, especially because you stopped Notre Dame? Oh, actually, Notre Dame messed up their extra point, and you guys took advantage of it by winning this one. Talk to us about that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about, Tennessee needing to get that thing off their back with Georgia. For Texas A&M, this was just a massive, not only is it exciting and it puts you in the college football playoff discussion and all those things, but it's a massive sigh of relief because they haven't had a ranked road win since 2014. They haven't beaten a ranked opponent on the road since 1979. Just, completely historic and really resets your palate if you're a Texas A&M fan, because for so long the conversation has been, the Aggies always choke. The Aggies can't come through in the end. The Aggies are going to make a mistake and they're going to blow it and they're going to go 8-4. And listen, they've still very well may go 8-4 given the rest of their schedule. It's very difficult, but it just finally feels really good for Aggie fans everywhere to get this win and be able to say, hey, we're here and we're going to compete in the SEC. Granted, we don't really know how good Notre Dame is right now because they lost, week 1 to Miami, and now they've lost here again. And they don't look like the Notre Dame team that we saw last year at all, especially defensively. But it still feels really good for Aggie fans to get the win. And the way that they did it, too, is not what people expected either. They were able to throw the football very consistently, at least in terms of – and they got a lot of explosive plays. Marcel Reed could have been a little bit more accurate, but he was making plays when he needed to make plays. Mario Craver is just an absolute problem for defenses everywhere. So, I mean, you got to feel really good if you're an Aggie fan right now, and how that projects for the rest of the season remains to be seen. But right now, it feels really good.
Yeah, for me, real quick, Notre Dame coming off a bye week.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's not good.
Weird.
That really is not good for them.
Hey,
When they took their
somehow
bye
they're going to be
season.
15. Somehow they're going to be 15th this week at 0-2.
Oh,
Somehow it's
guaranteed,
gonna happen.
guaranteed. I mean, it's Notre Dame. You kind of got to. I don't know why you would give it to them.
Yeah.
I agree. They should probably be 15, but 0-2, and you had a bye week right before this big game, especially a team that can, finagle the schedule the way they do. This looks really bad on them in preparation or whatnot. Roundtable, Marler, don't you sleep on me. You wake up and you tell me what you think.
Marcel Reed has been awesome. He's been really, really good, and I think it's good to see because all of the doubt that was on that kid as a passer, it seems to have been quelled pretty quickly this year. He's been great, I thought. That game was awesome. I love that Tyler Buckner, still with his SEC ties, went in there and made sure Notre Dame was going to lose. The secret op from Tyler Buckner was awesome. He's as bad of a place kick holder as he was a starting quarterback. I will say that. So it was a wild game. But again, credit to A&M. Like I love what Matt said about getting like the monkey off your back and going into a place where you haven't had a road win. I think the last road win was Auburn. Was it Auburn 2014?
Yeah, Auburn 2014 was their last ranked road win, and their last non-conference ranked road win was 1979 against Penn State.
And that's crazy to think that Auburn was ranked in general. So, and I know Zach's not here to defend himself, so that's why I bring it up. But I mean, no, it really was really impressive. And I think A&M, the defense is a little bit of a concern just because of the sheer amount of points they've given up in their first 3 games. But I love what the offense been able to do. Those receivers are legit, man.
100%.
Yeah, This was so fun for me. I thought Notre Dame was going to win this at home. Texas A&M was the team that I said was going to be in the playoffs, that everybody kind of looked at me and said, hey, what are you talking about? Well, it's this improved offense. The defense, I need to see more of, because even in the first couple of games, there were some points that they showed out to teams that were far inferior to them. I did not like that. But I think that'll get figured out, honestly. Come playoff time, it's going to be a different story, because you have to have a stout defense in the playoffs. Again, the last 5 championship teams have all been top 5 defense. You have to have that if you're going to make noise in it. But huge win for the program trajectory of A&M. It's no longer just a laughing meme at the offseason of 8-4 incoming. This is an actual team. And I'm really impressed. Starts with coaching, starts with leadership, starts with then talent on the offensive side. They're going to be a problem every game they're in. They're not out of any game, and this showed me they can go on the road and do so. I was very happy with it, and I still think they're going to make the playoffs.
You know, if you want to get rid of the Texas 8-4 nickname, all the jokes, you start by winning games like this. This was a big win for Texas A&M on the road. It's not perfect. It was not Texas A&M's ceiling. They can get a lot better from this, but they need it to win this game, at least for national perception, to take the next step.
I think what a win for college football yesterday, being treated as back-to-back Tennessee, Georgia, then Notre Dame, Texas A&M, just 2 phenomenal games back-to-back, going down to literally the last second, and field goals mattering in college football so much. But my question about Texas A&M in the offseason, and by the way, I had them as a playoff team as well, I did question whether they could take advantage of the transfer portal wide receivers, Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion. Would Marcel Reed take that next step in his development and be able to take full advantage of how talented those guys are on the outside? Le'Veon Moss is such a good player. You know, under Mike Elko, they're going to be good on defense. The question was Marcel Reed going to take that next step to take advantage of that talent he's got outside? Sure looks like it. And A&M's going to be tough to reckon with. But like Matt said, the schedule's really tough. That's true for virtually everyone in the SEC.
I feel like A&M's got a pretty good schedule, though. I mean, they get Texas at the end of the year. They get Auburn. That Auburn game is going to be awesome.
Yes.
I'm so pissed that Oklahoma and Michigan got game day, and they probably should have. But, like, game day should be at Auburn, Oklahoma this week. And if it's not there, it should have probably been at Auburn A&M. Those 2 teams somehow still flying under the radar and very good. It feels like we're going to go into the month of October, and I don't know if we're going to know who's good yet. It's been such a pleasant surprise to so many things. I will say this too, Jimmy. Love what you had to say about the 2 overtime, or the 2 Tennessee Georgia game going
back to backs.
A&M. But for the love of God, whoever's in charge of making the schedules, why is Ole Miss Arkansas, South Carolina Vandy, LSU Florida, A&M and Notre Dame, why are those all? I think it's only 4 games. I don't know why I have 5 fingers up.
Yeah.
Why are all of those games on at the same time? Like, that sucks.
I can answer that for you. That's easy. I was sitting there watching this game in multi-view on YouTube, and I had all 4 games on at the same time. That's why you do that. That was amazing. That was probably the best slate of games I'd ever watched in that multi-view, because usually you can't pick all the games you really want to watch. They still kind of limit you to who shows. I had all 4 of those going at once. So I'm going from corner to corner as the plays are going on. Commercial here, go here, go here. Yeah. So it was probably one of the best viewing I've had. So I get the complaint there, Marla, because you want to just lock in on that one game. Yeah. Because they were all so good. But you had that 4 window. And speaking of the 4 windows, Steven, we got to talk about Ole Miss closing out against Arkansas. That was another shootout in a game where, honestly, I expected more of the SEC games to be like lower scoring. I was expecting the 20 range for just about all of these games that were happening. Only one that gave us that was Florida LSU. Ole Miss Arkansas gave us another fun shootout, especially in the first half. Now, second half, different story. Things really got quiet. It seems like the second half adjustments by both teams were really good, and Ole Miss closed it out with that turnover. Talk to us. How you feeling about having not 1 but 2 quarterbacks that are willing to throw the ball down the field? Lane Kiffin is a wizard.
Apparently, the secret is to have a transfer from Division II, and he turns into an absolute star. Apparently that is the secret. And also, how crazy is it that Ole Miss versus Arkansas was the third most drunk game of the day?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, that one right there, that's a game that is known for being absolutely ludicrous, and it's just an afterthought. It's like, did you see A&M? Did you see Tennessee and Georgia? So that tells you how good the games were yesterday. Trinidad Chambliss, listen, we started hearing rumblings around Tuesday or Wednesday that he was taking all the reps with the first team and all of that. And we thought all of that was a smokescreen because we all know how Lane likes to play with the injury report from time to time and do all of that. By the end of the week, it looked like Austin Simmons was going to make it. He was going to go. And then on Saturday, when Pete Thamel and Chris Lowe started saying that, I was like, okay, they're getting that information from Lane, so he's likely going to go. So the first pass that he threw in the SEC would have been in that game, so nobody knew what to expect. He was a revelation, guys. He was really good. Yeah, he
a revelation.
Well, a revelation, yeah. He took care of the football. I know that's everybody's complaint of what's been happening earlier in the year. And the offense just got much more diverse, much more quick. Everything that you love about a Lane Kiffin offense was there with him. I think Austin Simmons is still going to get healthy. I don't think he's going to play against Tulane because he re-aggravated the injury throwing the touchdown pass. But there's a lot of hope that when LSU comes to town and all of that, maybe you're doing a little Chris Leak, Tim Tebow thing where both quarterbacks actually play. I'm really excited. I'm glad that game is over because Ole Miss and Arkansas is never not stupid.
Yeah,
and
fact.
and it's one of those things that you just want to get through. And Bobby Petrino and Taylor Green, those guys, they own Pete Golding. That's 3 straight years Petrino has done that to Pete Golding's defense. I'm just glad this game is over. Ole Miss is 2-0 in the conference. They're looking down at the rest of the league, and let's move on to the next game.
Yeah, there was a statistic about this. What was it? The last amount of games against these two, it was like 1 score in all of them. Was it like the last? Is it 10 or something like that? It's something crazy to where even Arkansas, when they were bad, they were still keeping it within a score.
Yeah, whenever Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss, whenever Ole Miss was going through the previous best tenure in 50 years, Hugh Freeze couldn't beat Arkansas. That's what it was. Burt had Hugh Freeze's number whenever he was coaching the Hogs, and Arkansas fans like to bring that up. It's 5-5 over the last 10 games. I think the margin of victory is somewhere around 10 points one way or another in those games. It's an absolutely stupid game. And like I said, I'm just glad it's over.
Roundtable it.
Here's my concern with Ole Miss. And this is, if I was an Ole Miss fan, if I was rooting for him, I would not want to continue to press the ball down the field with such insistency, because that's old Lane. That was old Lane of 2 years ago, that let's go, let's thump it out. You need to be aggressive, but you got to work on the power running game, especially quarterback. He looked good. He looked fine. Arkansas, known to have good offense, and Taylor Green is a good quarterback, not known to have any defense whatsoever. If they want to continue for the whole rest of the year, if I was an Ole Miss fan, I would be very nervous about establishing a power run scheme to complement the good quarterback play happening. And it seems that there are two. I would still stick if I was, I would still stick with Simmons. He showed me a lot so far. It looks like there's 2 competent ones. But give me that power running game. It changes the whole trajectory. I saw Kirby Smart do the exact same thing. 13 plays against Tennessee to gas a defense. And Josh Heupel, when you can't run that quick up-tempo scheme, you get in a heartache in a hurry, and it's not good. You have to have in the back pocket. So Ole Miss showed me some things. I'm actually quite impressed with them so far. I thought they were going to have a bigger drop-off than they have, and they haven't had that big of a drop-off, so I'm really impressed.
One thing that's interesting, Arkansas just struggles with run defense. They have to put people on linebackers and safeties, and they have to crash the run game. The deep ball was open against Arkansas, and Ole Miss could do whatever they needed to do just because of matchups. I don't think that was Lane trying to take it. I think Arkansas's secondary just a little bit off.
Yeah, by the way, I said Lane was good. I said he progressed. Stop yelling at me.
You lying sack. You got to beat me out.
Wow. That's what we're going for. All right. Go ahead.
I just want to say one thing about Ole Miss real quick. I'm the Locked On Aggies host. I went to Ole Miss, so I watch every snap of Ole Miss football. That was the exact Arkansas Ole Miss game that I have seen almost every year for the last 15 years. It was frustrating. It got to a point where I was texting, I have a big group text with all my Ole Miss buddies, and I was texting them like, hey, we're going to lose this game, aren't we? This is just typical Ole Miss. And then they finally stepped up and made a play on defense at the end of the game. I was so proud of the guys. I think Trinidad Chambliss is going to be really good, but I agree with Steven. I think it would be really fun if they did kind of a Tebow, Chris Leak thing at quarterback. Trinidad Chambliss can be part of that power running game that Clint was talking about. Kawan Lacey's obviously really, really good, and Ole Miss is 5th in the SEC in rushing, so they are making that a priority this year. I'm just excited to see where this goes. Austin Simmons does need to get healthy because as much as I like Trinidad Chambliss, I don't know if he does those same things against LSU and those same things against Georgia down the line. But it's certainly a nice way to kick off the week 3 for Ole Miss there. Just excellent game all around. It was really fun to watch.
I'm gonna hop off. I gotta hop off here, but last thing, because all the Auburn people in the comments that are here every single week talking crap. Road games, Oklahoma, road game, A&M coming up. You're both taking L's on those times. Your team's going to be in absolute disarray. You're going to come on here and flaunt your chest and puff it out. Auburn fan, get some class, grow up, have fun.
What did I miss?
Yeah, you missed a lot, but one thing.
Apparently, the oldest rivalry.
Speaking of injuries, yeah, exactly. The oldest rivalry. Speaking of injuries, as Clint has to depart, we're going to talk about this Vanderbilt South Carolina game. Woo, that was fun. Next up here on the squad. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where you make the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, NFL coming up after this show, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 or 6 players' projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. And so I know a lot of you have NFL players that played for your school, so go pick them. See if you can actually predict where they're going to be at. So download the Prize Pick app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And then we'll wrap it up with the NFL season is here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and your bet wins. You'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I mean, there was a lot of spreads that were covered in this one. Texas A&M, that's 7.5 pointer. If you would have picked them, that would have been a nice payout. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, let's jump right into some of the other games. A lot of people handled business like they were supposed to, but in this conference action here, Vanderbilt 31, South Carolina 7. Chris looks sad. I'm sorry, Chris.
I was up until like 2:00 last night.
I know you were.
You wait 45 minutes to talk about this stupid game. Fired up. Let's get into it. I'll just take over from here. South Carolina is not as good as I thought they were. They're definitely not as good without Lenora Sellers. That offensive line, it makes no sense how the offensive line could not get any better. I kept saying there's no way it could get worse. Well, we don't know about that. I think there's a lot of frustration because Sellers goes down. The play after Sellers, where Nick Harbor, they blow a play dead for a review that is like in the middle of the play. That's pretty frustrating to watch. But all that is to say that that's not why they lost this game. The officiating is not why you lost the game. Sellers being injured is not why you lost this game. Vanderbilt's a really good football team, and Vanderbilt came in there and bullied you. And I tell you what Vanderbilt does that teams like South Carolina under Shane Beamer especially do not do. That's keep your composure. That's convert on third downs, and that's do little things to win. They were constantly ahead of the chains. South Carolina was not. That's been a problem that's plagued them for a while. Vanderbilt was in 3rd and short seemingly like most of the night. Even when they weren't, they converted like a 3rd and 21 at one point. Like the drive to go ahead 14-7, which ended up being the game winner in the second quarter. They were able to go right down the field and convert multiple times on third down. They hit a 51-yard field goal. Like this was a 16-year streak that was snapped, and it was snapped emphatically. And you need to tip your cap to Vanderbilt. They were really, really good. Not just last night. I think they're a really, really good football team. But yeah, a lot of question marks, I think, for South Carolina, especially if Sellers hurt. If Sellers is hurt, they'll beat Kentucky. They can still beat Clemson. But But I think this goes into a situation where I don't know if they beat Missouri. I don't think they go into Death Valley and beat LSU. Like now the concern starts to come, I think, for this team where where's the progression? Where the play calling is bad. And there's just a lot of concerns, I think, after last night's loss.
How
do we feel about Vanderbilt being 3-0? Like
Vandy's really good, man. They are actually really good. They made Virginia Tech quit on their home field last week, and then they did this to South Carolina on South Carolina's home field. Vandy has Georgia State. They have Utah State before they could be potentially 5-0 going to Tuscaloosa. And
Georgia State in a revenge game.
Yeah, yeah, and Alabama looks at Vandy as the bug, and they're the sledgehammer or something like that. Whatever Ryan Williams said, but this is a different Vandy. Props to Corey Burton and Locked On Vandy. Go give him a subscribe. He deserves it. He called all of this, and over the last couple of weeks, he's called it all. But yeah, I'm super impressed with Vanderbilt, and I am so glad they're not on Ole Miss's schedule.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say about this game or about Vandy. All I'm going to say is, I'm going to say two things. Number one, they're a whole lot better than I thought they were going to be. That was extremely impressive what they did yesterday. As far as what they did against Virginia Tech just got absolutely dump trucked by Old Dominion, so I don't know how much stock I can put in that game. And I really have not understood what South Carolina is at all this year so far. So the jury is still kind of out for me on Vanderbilt, just in the sense of like, I want to see what they do against Alabama and Tuscaloosa. That's going to be the real test to me as far as what this team actually ends up being. And then they have some other tough ones. They got to go to Texas, which right now it looks like Vanderbilt's going to beat Texas. So it's like, the whole first 3 weeks of this season have been almost the polar opposite of what I expected it to be so far. But hey, Diego Pavia so far through the first 3 weeks is backing up all the talk that he had this offseason. That's for sure.
Well, yeah. I think the other part too is the fact that like what you should the thing for Vandy is that they do the little things that good teams do. Like they make halftime adjustments, they make in-game adjustments. Like I don't think they're going to win the SEC. I don't think they're going to. I mean, maybe I laughed at that like notion a week ago, and now you look at it and it's like. I mean, they are a really well-coached football team, and it's really awesome to see with like – I tell you what, it's really awesome to see a university and administration that stuck with Clark Lee when some people thought he should have been on the hot seat at Vanderbilt, and he's been able to turn the corner, and Diego Pavia has been awesome for him.
Yeah, I've been high on them as well going into the season. I thought that they were one team that could really surprise a lot of us, and – I got a lot of pushback on it. I'm not going to toot my own horn too many times on this one, but it's just something about Vanderbilt, man. They feel different. It just feel different. And speaking of feeling different, let's go ahead right into the last, I guess you could say, bigger matchup that we had in the SEC. The rest were kind of games you're supposed to take care of and handle. Alabama. Jimmy, we got to give you the floor, man. Y'all went out there and, gave it to Wisconsin. Now, granted, everybody's trying to discount that game, but that was a game to me felt like a confidence booster that Bama needed after kind of that Florida State game, the way that went down. Talk to us. Ty Simpson, 24 for 29, 382, 4 touchdowns. He actually looks like he's got command of that offense now.
Yeah, for those that didn't see, Ty was 24 of 29, but had 2 terrible drops. Ryan Williams dropped what would have been his 3rd touchdown. I mean, it was a perfect throw that couldn't have been handed to him any easier. And Ryan Williams had a bad drop, cost Ty a touchdown there. And then on a 3rd down play, freshman Lazier Brooks had a bad drop that Ty completed right in the numbers. So Ty's numbers, as great as they were, deserve to be even better. He's playing really well the last 2 weeks. I think Alabama really needed a settle-down game. The first week they were so underwhelming against Florida State, so overwhelming in week 2 against a really outmanned Louisiana Monroe team. I think this week was a lot about who is Alabama. What's Alabama when they're not, doing the Jekyll and Hyde thing? What's this Alabama team look like? I think that's what you saw yesterday against a Wisconsin team they should have beat by 20, 21 points. As the spread said, they won by 24. Trouble running the ball. That's the issue at Alabama right now. They're not running the ball well. In this matchup against Georgia in a couple of weeks, it's going to have kind of a Super Bowl build-up in Alabama. I think what people won't remember about last year's game against Georgia is they remember the big plays to Ryan Williams and the fireworks and the scoring. What they don't remember is Alabama rushed for 175 yards in that game, and 117 of it came from Jalen Milroe. Alabama has not shown in these 3 games so far this year that they can replace that rushing yardage. It's kind of all on Ty Simpson, who has this great wide receiver core. But running the ball is a big issue at Alabama. They didn't run it well against Wisconsin. The starting running back averaged 2.9 yards a carry. Defensively, this Alabama team's pretty good. It's not some vintage Saban defense or anything like that. They're pretty good. They have issues. They have issues against the run, and that's what makes that Vanderbilt matchup in 3 weeks a little scary. They haven't shown that they can stop that style of offense under this new staff. So we'll see. But defensively, this is a pretty good team. I don't think Georgia should underestimate Alabama. I'm sure they're not, based on their lack of success against Alabama in the last 10 years or so. They won't underestimate Alabama. But I don't think the Alabama team we've seen so far has shown that they can go on the road and win a game like that, and that's the challenge for them.
Oh, Jimmy, I got to disagree with you on this one. Georgia, I don't know if it's just Georgia Twitter. I don't think Kirby Smart's going to underestimate Alabama, but I've been hearing the same thing since the Bush administration from Georgia fans. They're going to just dog walk Alabama, and like they are. That is the biggest monkey that anyone has on their back right now in the SEC, and it cracks. I'm not saying this to be funny. I think Bama should feel more confident against Georgia than against Vanderbilt, not because they're a better team, but we just watched Tennessee dice up Georgia's defense for 4 straight quarters yesterday. Ty Simpson has missed 5 total passes, or has 5 incompletions in his last 2 games combined. Like it's not just Ryan Williams. I love that Latavier Brooks kid. Latavier Brooks kid. Jeremy Bernard's been fantastic. Isaiah Horton's getting going, but Vandy, they just lined up and beat you last year, right? Like they were able to run the ball and like you said, kept getting in 3rd and shorts. I don't think that they're better than Georgia necessarily, but I think Bama fans should feel more confident about that game than even the Vandy one, even though it's at home.
Well,
yeah.
I don't think the odds makers are going to favor
Georgia.
Odds makers are going to favor Georgia to beat Alabama. Odds makers going to favor Alabama to beat Vanderbilt, no matter what happens in Athens. But I do agree, stylistically, the Vanderbilt matchup seems to be worse. Alabama seems to play pretty well defensively against these more NFL-style teams with a drop-back passer. They struggle against the athletic RPO zone read type offenses. So I agree with that completely with Marler. But Georgia's got some dudes. Now, Georgia's not going to lack dudes. They're going to have plenty of motivation, like Marler said. Alabama hasn't just beaten Georgia. They've broken their hearts repeatedly with last-second wins, with wins on huge stages. Now, I think this first time since 2015, I think they've been to Athens. They've been ready for this one, and I'm sure the country will be looking forward to it in 2 weeks.
Yep, this is going to be some fun stuff. All right, we got 5 quick games. We're going to go after teams that were supposed to handle business. They handled business. First, Auburn over South Alabama, 31-15. Here's Zach Blackerby.
Morning, everybody. Auburn takes down South Alabama. Wasn't pretty, and it was kind of the tale of 2 halves. In the first half, I thought Jackson Arnold played his best half of football as an Auburn Tiger. And I don't really care about the statistics. He had a lot of drops and all of that, but just passing the eye test as far as going through progressions quickly, being on time with the football, running it when he needed to. I thought he did everything the right way in the first half. Then in the second half, on both sides of the football, you saw a big step back in production. So they played a lot of young guys. You got to hope that that's it. You got to hope that they were trying to be conservative as far as what they want to show, because they've got a huge 3 weeks coming up, going to Oklahoma, going to Texas A&M, and then obviously hosting Georgia. So we'll see, but Auburn 3-0 to start the season.
And we'll get with
Missouri takes care of business 52-10 against Louisiana. Tigers moved to 3-0, and I would say notably 3-0 against the spread as well. I'm John Miller with Locked On Mizzou, and I bring up that ATS number simply because I think it shows that Missouri is continuing to outpace expectations nationally, even those set by the Vegas lines and projections. So to me, if Missouri, which rushed for more than 400 yards in this ball game, if they start getting that outside zone going, my goodness, what looks like a really good defense, Bo Prabula coming through at quarterback, hop on the bandwagon now, because I think this team, The nation's going to catch up eventually. It's not going to be this week, so hop on the bandwagon while you still can.
Then you got Texas beating UTEP 27-10. Yeah, Mississippi State though 63-0 on Alcorn State. Kentucky new quarterback alert. Kentucky 48-23 as Calzada did not play in that game. It was Cutter Bowling. Yeah, did not know that name actually existed. Didn't know cutters were coming off the conveyor belt, so I'm kind of shocked on that. And then Oklahoma continued their dominance 42-3 over a Temple team, allowing only 100 yards in that game, and Temple was averaging 510 yards per game before that. So we'll wrap up on these last games where they actually handle business. Roundtable, what y'all got? Anything y'all want to say about any of those games?
I mean, Auburn playing a team named USA and beating them 3 days after September 11th just shows you who Auburn is. I mean, Clint was right. So that's clearly a joke. I do want to say, Zach Blackerby, good job not driving while filming this week.
Yeah, seriously.
He
Also,
did film.
Missouri continues to be the most underrated team in the Southeastern Conference. They're so good. They're good.
Oklahoma's good.
Yeah, Oklahoma's good too.
Yeah,
Oklahoma's really good.
Looking forward to Oklahoma Auburn next week. The way Oklahoma's playing, Auburn's off to a good start. I think it's the game of the week next week. I don't know where game day is or don't really care, but Oklahoma Auburn.
Florida. They're down in Florida, Miami. They're Florida, Miami. So SEC Network will be in Norman for the Auburn Oklahoma game, in which Chris mentioned before would have been great to have game day there for this one because the return of Jackson Arnold to Norman, seeing his old defensive coordinator in person once again, as you know, Brent Venables was terrorizing him in practices all of last 2 years. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup. Now the question is, with the way Jackson Arnold played in that game, will he be able to continue his running first mentality and win against a Oklahoma team that really doesn't let teams run much? It's going to be very intriguing to see what Hugh Freeze puts together for that game, and if Brent Venables can, continue this historic run on his defense. I think the team is allowing 6.3 points per game so far, one of the lowest out there. Right. But Missouri, I got to get, like you said, Stephen, they're one of the most underrated teams in the SEC right now. They gave up 4 passing yards in that game. 4.
Louisiana's starting quarterback is injured, but yes.
4?
Yeah, no, the starting quarterback was 1 for 8. Daniel Beal was 1 for 8, 5 yards. The backup quarterback, Winfield had 1 for 6 for -1 yard. They gave up 4 yards passing in that game, y'all. Like legitimately. And then Ahmad Hardy decided, and this is why I got to give Miz some props. Ahmad Hardy, 22 carries for 250 yards rushing. Then Marquise Davis followed behind him with 20 carries for 113 yards rushing. So Bo kind of didn't have to do much besides throw for 174 yards. They destroyed them in the worst way. I mean, they gave up 117 yards rushing, but I mean, does that really count when you only throw for 4 yards the whole game?
Those Cajuns weren't doing much raging.
no rage from the Cajuns whatsoever.
If you guys want to have fun, by the way, on the way out of here, if you want to look at some Sunday stats, do yourself a favor and go look and see what defense leads the country in rush defense per game or rush defense in the year. I'll just spoiler alert. It's BYU. They've allowed 7 yards. They've allowed 7 total yards.
Yeah, I've been looking at college football stats and saw that, and I'm still in shock that they've only given up 7 yards of rushing.
That's tough.
Hey, and are we sure Ed Orgeron isn't in Lafayette, Louisiana, just hanging around waiting to see what happens?
That's my guess.
That's a good question.
He'd be a perfect fit for that program.
Great fit. We didn't get
my God.
Props in this on the chat.
He's literally a living mascot for the Raging Cajuns. It would be absolutely perfect.
It would be just cinema. It would be cinema.
Watch the coach from the sideline in the mascot uniform, just no head, terrorizing kids with just like the trauma from it. That'd be awesome.
It's like the logo on the helmet should be Ed Orgeron's face. That's what it should be.
All right. Any final words? Let's get out of here. NFL's about to start. Should have kickoff. Final words. Are we good?
We're going to see if there's a D3 quarterback for next week. I don't know.
We will see.
I just want to say one other thing. Sorry to interrupt, but the Texas offense is broken. Arch Manning Steve Sarkisian said after the Texas game that it was all mental for Arch right now, and he's not translating what he's doing in practice to what they're doing in games. I think that's a major concern for Texas, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to go into Gainesville and win that football game anymore. Missouri is a hell of a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Vanderbilt is a hell of a lot better than I thought they were going to be. So this has just been a wild start to the college football season. I'm not going to give Auburn props until they go into to Norman and beat Oklahoma. I just refuse to do it. Until then, I'll reserve the right to say that I don't believe in Hugh Freeze and I don't believe in Jackson Arnold. But we'll see how it goes.
100% agree. Well, it's another big moment for Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads conversation, longtime two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On local experts. I might be on there this week. So, a college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. For all of our Locked On experts, thank y'all for joining us for these reactions, and we will see all of y'all next week.